Hey, everybody. I was just talking to myself for a minute. I'm like, I do that classic that I always do at the beginning where I have you raise your hand if you can hear me. And no one raised their hand. So please raise your hand if you can hear me. Please. Aha, there we go. Thank you, Brett and Carl and Doug. Thank you, everybody else that's raising your hands as well. Oh, I was on mute. So I'm coming to you live this morning, this afternoon, I guess at this point, from my own personal house here in beautiful liquid sunshine, Washington State. It is raining as it always does, but not here. It's sunny where we're sitting right now. So I am excited about the webinar we've got going on today. I've been spending some time thinking about the new year, thinking about New Year's resolutions and things, and I found online a list of the top New Year's resolutions that people make, and I grabbed that list, and I'm going to use that as a jumping off point for our top 10 resolutions that you guys can make, that we can make, all can make, I can make for a great new year this year. I'm going to twist them, obviously, to be about lean and agile situations because they're not all lean and agile things. They're just generic New Year's resolutions. But hey, it's fun. I'm excited about that. Did everybody get an email from me here at the last minute about 45 minutes ago that was showing a bunch of note-taking things? Yes, you did? Great. Great. Thank you for raising your hands, folks. I just wanted to send that out. I'd like to start doing this. I'm not going to promise I am, but I'd like to start doing a little handout notes for you guys so that you can, keep engaged and keep some notes of what you've heard and learned as we're going through. Best thing you can do with that, obviously, is to print it out and use the space I've provided to, take notes of what we're talking about during the meeting. Thank you for the great idea comment there, Brett. Yeah, it really helps people stay engaged and gives you something to hold on to afterwards, that you can reference back to. So this webinar today is called the Top 10 Resolutions for a Great New Year. But I'm going to start off. Get on the right page. There we are. All right. I'm going to start off with a little bad news, unfortunately, on the first page of your notes there. First, the bad news. Yes, the job market is coming back from what I hear and feel and see all around. But I just downloaded this morning from Indeed.com. If you've never been to Indeed.com, it's a great website. Check it out. I have no affiliation with them at all, but I like their tools and the way that they organize stuff. Mostly, I like that they're basically an aggregator for jobs. So they're like the Google of job postings, right? If you want a job posting on anything, you go there, and they point you out to the other people who have jobs available. Great to see people are still showing up. Thank you for coming if you just got here. Sean, can you still not hear me? Okay. We'll see. All right. But it's interesting to look at this. Good indicators are the couple that I've circled on the printed copy. Here you can see the positives in the hospitality industry and human resources. Now, why would you be hiring human resources people if you're not planning on hiring people? Interesting question, right? And this is a great one for those of us who have been bitten by the real estate market. If real estate jobs are going up, they've got to be selling more real estate. So I'm happy about that one. And I think that's a good indicator for our job market as a whole. But if this is true, that jobs are over the past year, over the prior year, so year over year, they're showing this, that in information technology, and most of us on the phone call right today are from information technology type careers, they've gone down by 12%. Now, this is the number of job postings that Indeed has gathered from the world. So that makes me a little concerned and interested in what's going on, and wanting to refine and hone what I do as an IT professional in order to be in the top of that market, because the people that are not finding jobs, or the people who are not staying in jobs, are the ones that are at the bottom of the market, hopefully, most of the time. And anything we can do to stay on the top of that market is going to help. So this is kind of where I'm focusing these 10 New Year's resolutions that we can make. And New Year's resolutions are always an interesting thing. Most of the time people don't follow through with them. They don't get the results that they were hoping for because of any number of reasons. Okay, good. People can hear me now. That's good. All right. They don't follow through for any number of reasons, and I'd like to talk about those. I listen to all kinds of self-improvement and all those kinds of great folks. Different people have different opinions about some of them. One of those people, I don't remember who actually uses this model, that helps us understand why we do what we do, why we keep our resolutions and why we don't. But I like this model. I share this with my kids. And it talks about how your thoughts lead to your feelings or your beliefs, right? Those beliefs then drive your actions that get you the results that you're getting. So in those 3 lines on your notes there, where it says, what 3 things do you need to make a change? You need to change your ways of thinking. What are the thoughts that are going through your head? You need to have that influence your feelings and beliefs, right? So change your feelings and beliefs. And then that will change your actions and results. So those are the things that, if you want to keep these New Year's resolutions, you need to do those things. You also need to do things like, telling someone, right? You're going to keep a resolution. The more people you tell, the more positive peer pressure you have to keep it. So I encourage you to do that. If you're going to make a resolution here, one of these 10, make it and tell somebody about it. Tell a friend or a spouse or a coworker, your boss. Those are important things. So let's jump right into the 10 things that are your New Year's resolutions. All right, here they are, top 10, and then I'll talk about each one of them. Spending more time with family, get fit. These are the classic top 10 that I found on the internet. Lose some weight, dropping a bad habit, enjoy life more, get out of debt, learn something new, help others, get organized, and I put on there, get a coach, because I think it's important. We talked about that last time. We'll talk about it a little bit this time, but getting a coach will help you with all of these things, like we were talking about telling someone. A coach can help you through some of those things. So let's see, what is spending time with family? This is a New Year's resolution that people make. I've been working too hard. I want to spend more time with family. Well, in our context, I want to say spend more time with your customer family, right? Whatever we do, it's all driven to serve the customer, and that customer may be an internal customer who's the product owner, or it may be someone within your company, like somebody in the accounting department because you're working on a finance system, right? So get to know them. Spend more time with them. Don't just invite them to a meeting or a demo. Take them out to coffee, right? Go out to lunch. Get to know them and what drives them, what they're really thinking in a deeper kind of way than maybe you have before. By doing this, you'll gain interesting insights into how they work and what they think about. It's working with a client, and one of the things that the Scrum Masters there decided to do, and it was great, was to send their development team to the training that they were giving to the people who were going to use the system, so that the developers could see firsthand these people struggling to use their tool that they think is pretty, totally intuitive and makes perfect sense. But when you see someone struggling with it, you go, oh, I didn't even think about that they would blah, 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 whatever it is, that they would be struggling with that. It makes perfect sense to me, but I can see now how they have a problem with it because that's not their context, right? When we use something day in and day out, it just becomes intuitive to us, and you want to break out of that by talking to the people, right? Spend more time with your family of customers. All right, get fit. What does it mean to get fit? Well, it means working out, and I've started working out physically. I think that's actually important, literally, for you as a worker, as a project manager, if you are, or a Scrum Master, developer. It's important to actually stay physically fit because you have more energy when you are fit. You think more clearly. If you have read the book that I've recommended many times, The Brain Rules, in there, Dr. John Medina talks about the need to stay fit and that the link between exercise and creative thinking is very clear and proven time and time again. And he's a neuroscientist, so he's a brain dude. It's really important that we keep our minds clear, so working out is great. If you're finding yourself stuck, not being clear about something, you're not thinking clearly, sitting at your desk, get up, walk around, go for a walk around the block. Here it's pouring down rain, so I have a rowing machine, and I'll just go row for a little bit, and then I'll wake up a little bit, and things are clearer and suddenly more interesting, and I come up with more creative ideas and thoughts about what to do. So it's important to stay fit. I think it's also important that we stay fit as an organization, right? And keeping fit is one of those things that is, I would use it to say, a retrospective, right? When you are, or lessons learned, if you're not familiar with retrospectives, right? A retrospective is the agile version of a lessons learned. I have an article coming out in searchcio.com. It's not published just yet. It will be published sometime here in January, about if you are a traditional project manager, what can you do to learn from Agile? And one of the things is doing lessons learned the way Agile folks do a lessons learned. And I don't mean the techniques, I mean the frequency. Traditional lessons learned, if you've been on these before, you can just kind of, okay, he's going to go in his rant about lessons learned again. But traditional lessons learned are completely useless generally. In 90%, 95% of the companies that I go to and work with, the traditional lessons learned that they gather are useless because of three solid reasons, right? One, they are project specific. That project will be done, and therefore those lessons will never need to be learned on another project again. They may be team specific, technology specific, right? Team, technology, or project specific lessons learned don't help because when you do a lessons learned in the traditional way, where you do it at the end of a project, right? Traditional lessons learned are done at the end of a project, and that's useless because you can't fix those things, right? Because the things that you find are team, technology, or project specific. And the third reason is that when they're not team, technology, or project specific, they become so generalized as to be useless, right? Communication was a problem. We had trouble with our sponsors not being involved enough. Yeah? And help me out here. The way we do lessons learned in an Agile environment is we actually do one every 2 to 4 weeks. We do, think of it as a mini lessons learned. If you think about it, if you've ever, oops, okay, just bumped my phone. If you've ever done that lessons learned at the end of a 2-year project, remembering I know that things went wrong a year and a half ago, but I can't remember exactly why, and I can't remember what it meant, and who was involved, and who did what to who. All of the specifics become very, very foggy. When you do a lessons learned or a retrospective every 2 to 4 weeks, now you're talking, right? Now you're getting somewhere, because you can actually remember 2 to 4 weeks ago. I know sometimes it's hard to remember that, but every 2 to 4 weeks, you can remember back that far. And so if you are doing it then in this way, the 2 to 4 weeks, it helps because it solves those 3 problems, right? You're not doing it at the end of the project anymore, which means you can do something about it. Because now I've got a lessons learned. I'm going to learn these lessons. I'm going to define specific actions associated with learning this lesson to fix it. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to come back and check it. The things are still technology, project, or team specific, but guess what? The technology, project, and team are still together. You can do something about it. And they're not so generalized that they're useless. You make them very specific with, like I said, action items and people who take on those assignments to do that action to resolve that problem or to try a different tact on it. So, okay, Joseph's rant on lessons learned and why we should all, no matter what kind of project you're doing, traditional or agile, do retrospectives and do them frequently. Okay, that's our next one, is getting fit. So what have we done so far? We've said you want to spend more time with family. You want to get fit. Next one is to lose some weight. Well, this is, I liken this one to the concept of lean, right? We want to look at where's the waste, where's the fat in our projects, where's the fat in our process, in our organization, and let's get rid of it, cut it out, right? It's tied to getting fit in that the getting fit approach is how you lose some weight, but it's maybe a different perspective for looking at it. Looking at the different kinds of waste in an organization, and we don't have time to go through what all the different identified types of it. There's a specific list of types of waste, and you should go check out a list. I probably have one on my website. I'm not positive. I'll go put one up. But in lean, if you type in lean waste, you'll get the list. I think there's, I should know this, 9 or 11 types of waste. And somebody's going to type it in and tell me how many there were, I'm sure. But look for those. Look specifically in your organization. How many, what kinds of waste are there? Are we spending time waiting for somebody else, right? Some of the biggest wastes I see in organizations are waiting wastes, right? You have the testers that are waiting for the development to be done. You have the developers that are waiting for the requirements to be signed off. You have the product owners who are waiting for the requirements to be completed before they can sign them off. And the list goes on, and it's just this chain of unfortunate waits. And that's how a project gets to be a year and a half behind. It's just one day waiting at a time, right? One day at a time. That's how a project gets to be behind. You never have a project that just explodes and is a year behind. It happens one day at a time. All right. So that's number 3. Lose some weight. Lose some weight. Get it? Wait time? Wait. Okay. Dropping a bad habit. So what are the bad habits maybe that your organization has? When I go in and coach organizations, that's what I help to do. So, the number 10 is talking about getting a coach. Having somebody come in, where you're at or on the phone to talk with, to help you figure out what are the bad habits that we've got. I'll often work with teams who are doing their daily stand-ups, and the daily stand-up is not much different than a traditional status meeting. Not much. I mean, it takes 15 minutes, but they have to rush. But everybody stands around. They're all standing up, so that's different. But what they're doing is still giving status to a project manager. And it's not what a stand-up is about. Daily stand-up is where the team talks to the team and gets coordinated amongst themselves. Project manager could not even be there if there's a project manager involved. Scrum Master could actually not even be there. Somebody else can just facilitate that, or the team just facilitates it themselves as a whole, right? So, and that's a common bad habit that I see. And this whole series of webinars talks about different bad habits that people have. But find a bad habit that you've got as an organization and just drill on it, right? I'm going to take this next month of February or January, the rest of January, and we're going to resolve this issue that we've got. Maybe make that a retrospective exercise to say, what are the bad habits that we have? And list them. And then list what are the good habits that we have. And so I would encourage you to spend most of your time on the good habits and focusing on how you can improve them. But this is, resolutions for a new year. Drop yourself one of your bad habits. Pardon me while I take a little drink of water there. This is exciting. So have you all made these resolutions so far this year? Anybody make resolutions? I'm going to lose some weight by getting healthy this year. The what number are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number 5 top resolution that people make is to enjoy life more. I had one organization say, it's great when you hear things third hand, right? So somebody said to somebody else this comment about the coaching that we were doing there. It was, they have changed my life. Agile has changed my life. This person was working weekends, working 12 and 15-hour days, and we came in and said, look, no, you're going to work regular hours. We're going to streamline things. We're going to remove some of this waste. We implemented Scrum with this organization, and she started working regular hours and was honestly on the phone and told this to this friend of hers, and the friend told me later that this Agile has changed my life, right? You have to enjoy life, right? That's one of the things that when I'm doing personal coaching with a team, or with individuals, personal coaching with individuals, is we look for what makes this job fun for you? What makes this project, this engagement, this product fun and interesting? Because if it's not fun and interesting, you won't want to do your best on it. You won't want to bring all of it that you have to it. And that's important. In the Agile Manifesto, one of the principles, the values are the 4 statements on the front. If you click on the next link on the bottom, it says the 12 principles. One of those principles is that the team and product owners should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely, right? That's the concept of sustainable pace. We should be able to continually do what it is that we're doing forever, right? For at least as long as you're wanting to stay in that career. Continually work at a reasonable pace. Don't kill yourself with 12-hour days or 14-hour days. It's crazy. So enjoying life more. This is a good resolution for Agile and lean people. Get out and spend more time with your family and help you do the first one. All right. The number 6 resolution that people say is to get out of debt. All right, so we're going to get out of debt. What do I mean by debt? There's a concept in Agile development that has arisen. It is unfortunate that it has to be there, but I think it does in most cases. The concept is technical debt. You may have heard the phrase, and maybe you didn't know what it meant. Technical debt is if you are working hard to get something out quickly, If you're using Scrum, maybe you're sprinting. Sometimes you make a compromise in order to get something out. That compromise, it means maybe I didn't put it on the best server because the server wasn't going to be, we couldn't order that server. We put it on a lesser server temporarily before we put it on the final server later, right? That trade-off that you made is called technical debt, and it piles up. You should keep track of it. One thing that I do with teams is I coach them to put a little, if they're using sticky notes for their wall of requirements, their story cards, their story map, to add a sticky note to a story that identifies the technical debt, right? We'll use a particular color, and that color corresponds to a sticky note in the technical debt pile that is specific to that story, right? So we made a compromise. Here I'm keeping track of it. If you're using digital tools, you can make notes, you can link stories to stories, but create a story for that technical debt that you've created, because eventually you're going to have to do that thing. You're going to have to install that server. You're going to have to rewrite that interface. I wrote it fast and dirty, but now I have to go clean it up. So that is technical debt that you'll want to get yourself out of. It's important to keep that down, because if you don't, it piles up very quickly, right? I mean, we're striving hard to get things out fast, but we need to talk very candidly with our product owners about technical debt, and that, hey, yeah, we've got stuff out fast, but it's not all perfect, and if we don't take this next sprint as a technical debt sprint, we're going to be hurting 6 months from now when all the more technical debt is piled on top of it. We're starting to build something that's fragile, not agile. So let's beat down the technical debt. Keep it to a reasonable amount. If at all possible, get rid of technical debt. Most of the time, that's not possible. If you're moving fast, you have to have a little bit of technical debt. So get out of debt. And on a personal note, get out of financial debt as well. But I haven't used credit cards for 5 years. It's awesome to be out of personal debt. All right, learn something new. Of course, I'm all about learning something new. It's what I do. I'm coaching and training people all the time, and learning something new is critical to your career path, right? In order to move yourself forward, in order to help your company be better, you have to be constantly learning. The state of Agile and Lean is constantly changing. Just an interesting side note, in Scrum, I'm making this up on the spot because I'm trying to remember, this just came to mind. In Scrum, there used to be there's 3, 4, 3, 3 roles, 4 ceremonies, and 3 artifacts, right? That's all that Scrum is, right? You have the 3 roles of product owner, Scrum Master, and team. You have the 4 ceremonies of the daily stand-up, the sprint demo, the sprint retrospective, and the sprint planning. I think those are the 4, yeah, 4 ceremonies. I'm remembering this on the fly, the 4 ceremonies. And then there were 3 artifacts, and the 3 artifacts were the sprint backlog, the product backlog, and the burn down chart. And they have recently changed that, and the burn down chart is not a, quote, required artifact of Scrum anymore. And they've replaced it with something else. I just read about this the other day. They replaced it with, oh, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm just human. Something about, it's something similar to a burn down chart, but it's more general about a communication with your product owner about where you are in progress. So they're not requiring anymore that you have that. But what I'm telling you is these best practices change constantly, right? if you have not paid attention to things for the past year or so, you don't know what Kanban is, right? And Kanban is kind of where people are leaning with, well, Scrum's not working for us as an enterprise. What about this Kanban thing? That's a lean approach that works great, and you can learn about it. But if you're not familiar with it, if you haven't taken classes on it, if you haven't worked with it before, you need to learn about it, right? So learn something new. Always be on that cutting edge of learning things new. Again, doing some interesting research and things about job trends. Took this one this morning. If you're a project manager, and I know a lot of people who on the calls end up being project managers because I traditionally was a project manager before I started becoming a coach. Interesting pattern here, right? You have the traditional IT project manager that's pretty flat down here, but the growth market for an agile project manager, this is again off of the Indeed.com, and this is the number of job listings, the percentage growth of job listings over the years, right, from 2006, 7, 8, 9, so 10, 11, 12. Pretty good growth up here in the past couple of years in the job market for Agile Project Manager title, right? Jobs that had those three words in it, Agile Project Manager, rather than just Project Manager. So if you want to go where the jobs are growing, right? If we looked at that first chart and it said the jobs are declining in the IT environment, and look at this chart and say, well, they're growing in the Agile environment. So let's look to that. Organizations are moving towards Agile, right? Here's this comment about future implementations. Who's planning on doing future implementations of Agile? This is from the version 1 State of Agile survey, and I encourage you to look at that. Actually, we'll look at it here in just a minute. 60% of the organizations that answered the survey, and we can talk about what that means, but 60% of them said they were going to do future implementations of it. 33%, a third of them, said they didn't know, and only 8% said they weren't going more with Agile. So interesting, interesting, interesting. If you're not familiar with the State of Agile survey by version 1, I totally encourage you to go look at it. If you're in the job market, or if you're not, even if you're not, if you're, it pays to be aware of the environment and what's going on out there. This is the State of Agile survey. As you can see, it talks about the general state of Agile. So that was the listing where I got that quote last time. Talks about personal experience on this page here. How many years of experience do you have? We see we've got a lot of people with 2 to 5 years of experience, not a lot of people with 1 to 2, and then a bunch with less than 1 year of experience. Now this is who's worked on it. Got 18%, 20% of the people have more than 5 years of experience with Agile, which is great. The number of projects using Agile is over 60% of the projects. Some of the interesting statistics are down here. I like this one. I use this one in my classes a lot. Talks about the Agile methodologies. If you're looking at something else, just bop over here real quick and look at this chart. The Agile methodologies that are currently in use, right? So 52% of the respondents to the State of Agile survey said they were using Scrum. Another 14% were using a Scrum XP hybrid. I will venture to guess for you that the people who said that they're just using Scrum are actually using a Scrum and XP hybrid, because Scrum and XP are like M&Ms in the candy shell, right? You got the chocolate in the candy shell. Scrum is the candy shell. XP is the chocolate inside. The Scrum is a wrapper. It's a framework. It says nothing about the approach to delivery. XP says very little about the framework, and it talks a lot about your approach to delivery. So I would guess that these people are both using Scrum and XP. And then you look down here, you've got a certain number of people, these light blue, 3% that are using Scrumban. There's another 3% that are using Kanban. This is, like I told you earlier, so there's a good 6% of the respondents that are using some form of Kanban. I would say that that number is going to continue to grow. It grew from the 2010 to the 2011 survey, and it will grow. It will continue to grow because that is an area that people can move to without radically disassembling their company, right? If you need to go to Scrum for your entire organization, you need to be radical about what you do. If you're going to implement Kanban, you can do that on your current projects. So we did a webinar last year about Kanban, implementing Kanban, and I introduced you all to that. If you haven't been introduced to that before, I'm going to be making those webinars, past webinars, available in the recorded format. I have to charge a minimal fee for it because it takes a lot of storage to store it, but it's going to be like $20 for a year's access to it. So if you're interested in that, please let me know, and I will give you the information about that once I get it all set up. But that's exciting. Daily Agile techniques. If you're interested in moving towards Agile and not sure what techniques people find most useful, this is a good indication, right? This shows you Agile techniques that are employed by different organizations. Most all of them use the daily stand-up. A lot of them do iteration planning. Good number of them do unit testing. 70% do unit testing. If you're not doing unit testing, how can you do? You are slowing yourself down so much. If your development team is not using unit testing, it's insane. And now they're going to complain. If you're a developer and not using unit testing, you're probably going to complain to me that it takes more time to write the unit test. I have to code it twice because I have to code the unit test and I have to write the code. But the fact of the matter is, in the long run, it saves you time. And when you get used to just doing it this way, writing unit tests, you will be fine with it. Release planning, they use burn down. So even though that's not part of what's required by Scrum anymore, here it is. It is still commonly used by letter E, 64% of the people out there. So this is an interesting chart to check that out. I won't go through the whole thing with you, but it is a good survey that you should be familiar with. All right, let's get back to the PowerPoint. Oops, this one here. All right. Other stuff, obviously, I'm here to help you learn. I've just started my 2 online, well, there's 3 online classes that I'm doing. I have the Introduction to Agile, an online ACP certification class, and my Agile mentor groups. So if you're interested in taking an Introduction to Agile or online ACP, or getting involved in a mentor group, I've been involved in mentor groups myself as an attendee, and they're really powerful. You can check them out here. These are the things. I also have this 4th option here as another way of studying for the ACP. This is one-on-one coaching. It's not for everyone, but if you are looking at the ACP and you want to take it, you're ready to do it, this is a way to, and maybe you've already got your education requirement taken care of, this is a way to get ready for it by just having some one-on-one time with me. We'll just very focused help you get ready for it. Mentor group is a 20-person group, 20 people or less, that meets and as a group on the phone, so you can attend from anywhere. And I've been in them with people from Seattle and South Africa and Europe, everywhere around. And we talk about the things that you want to talk about as a mentor group, right? Introduction to Agile is just what it says it is, and the ACP is as well. So both of these are online courses that you can attend wherever you want to. The mentor group meets every other week. Calls are 90 minutes long, lasts for 3 months or 6 sessions. You get unlimited email Q&A with me, as well as online discussion groups. So interesting stuff, fun stuff. If you want to do it, write this number down, this code down on the front page of your packet that I sent out. There's a thing that says webinar attendee discount code. The discount code is 2013 resolution. 2013 resolution, no space, just like it's written right here. And that will give you a 20% discount on any one of those classes, online classes, or the mentor group, or the one-on-one coaching. So 2013 resolution, write it down. All right, back to our top 10. Are you ready? Be available to help other people. I love this one as a classic New Year's resolution or resolution that people, resolution that people make, a New Year's resolution to help others, because that's kind of the definition of what we do when we collaborate, right? We try and help others help themselves. So I would encourage you to use Agile, right? Collaborate, but also being involved in something like the mentor groups, and mine's not the only one. You can do other people's groups. That's fine. But get involved in a peer sharing group so that you can have the balance, right, of somebody talking to a real other person about Agile. If this call is the only time you get fed Agile information, lean information, you need more, right? You need to be in a support kind of environment, and that's what the mentor groups do. That's what meetups do. That's what your community user groups do, right? If there's an Agile user group in your area or a lean group in your area, go start attending those things. It's worth it. You have things to offer them. They have things to offer you. You can help each other. Right? This is an important thing. Yes, you may get a copy of the slides. I will send out a copy of these slides to everybody. All right, the next New Year's resolution is to get organized. How many of you have made this this one? You know, I make it all the time, and I'm usually pretty good at it at the beginning of the year. I'm horrible at maintaining things over time. That's why I like coaching and consulting and helping in that kind of way. That's just not my strength. That's why I have assistants. They can help me with the maintaining things. It's good though. Getting organized. So what does this mean for you in your project world? Well, it kind of ties back to several of the ones that we talked about earlier. Look at what you've got. What are your artifacts that you're keeping for the project that you're working on right now? What are the things that you're keeping for the project that you're working on right now? Do you really need them? Really? All those? Or are they just cluttering your mind and making it hard for you to concentrate on the important things? So this happens in Agile teams as well. You've got all these sticky notes and all these posters up on the walls. Get rid of some of them. Take some of it down, right? Start off fresh for a new year. Maybe keep the most recent 1, 2, right? When we do retrospectives, when I coach with teams and they're doing a retrospective, we put up the retrospective sheets, right? The information that we gathered and the decisions we made, put them up on the walls in the team room. After a year, that can get pretty cluttered. So rip some of that down and start off fresh. You don't have to keep it all. I have people who ask me, what should I do when I'll be standing at a client? What should I do with the story cards when they're done? Because the sticky note, it moves over here. How do I archive that? And I grab the sticky note that's done off the wall and I rip it in half. And I say, you don't need to. Don't archive that. that's a story card. It's a temporary artifact. Get rid of those. You don't need to keep them. What is documentation of the code now? The code, right? If you're writing software, that should be the documentation. So part of the definition of done for your team needs to also include that we documented, that we commented the code well, right? So that way you can get rid of some of the other superfluous artifacts that you don't need. Get organized, clean it up, get rid of some of that stuff. You don't need it. And of course, the last one is getting a coach. You know, I find it interesting when I'm talking with people about you doing coaching and they're taken aback by, oh, I don't need a coach. Like, you know what? Everybody needs a coach. I have coaches that I work with. I have several people that I work with as coaches. You know, professional golfers, the best of the best, right? They have coaches that work with them because a coach can help you by seeing from the outside, right? You're all enmeshed in what you're doing. When I come to an organization or when I start working with a person, I can see that organization or that person's context from the outside with fresh, clear, clean eyes that aren't fogged by years of being in that environment. You work with some clients and their culture is so dysfunctional, but they don't see it because they're in it. And if you've been in it for a long time, some organizations, they have people that have been there for 10 years. And most of the people have been there for 15 years. They don't know that there's another way. And so a coach can come and help you or them see with fresh, new eyes that, hey, there's something different. Maybe there's a whole different game we could be playing. Or maybe it's a swimming coach that says, you know what, if you were to tip your hand in just 2 inches earlier, if you were to start that stroke at this cycle instead of when your hand's at your side instead of when your hand's at your leg, right, at your hip instead of your leg, then you'd be able to go so much faster, and you make that little adjustment, and bang, makes a huge change. The coach can see from the outside. So I definitely think everyone should have one. And if you do something like a mentor group, it's a economical way of making it happen too, because doing the one-on-one coaching, if you go to that ACP coaching and you just do the one-on-one coaching, it's not cheap. My time is expensive, obviously. Your time is expensive too. But if you do it with a group, then it becomes more economical. All right. So just to go, these are the things that we just talked about. Places to learn. If you want to get a coach, talk to me. There's the discount code again. And that's what I have for you today. It is 10 minutes to the end of the hour. I am happy to open up for any questions, comments, considerations. What do you got for me? Raise your hand and I will unmute your line, or you can type me a question in the questions box. But love to chat with what you're thinking about the new year. While you're thinking about what you want to ask me, I want to encourage you to look back at these 10 and pick 3. Maybe there are 3 different things that came to your mind while we were going through them. Pick 3 or 4 and make a commitment to doing that. And tell somebody else about it, right? I'm going to do these. Set a timeline for when you're going to do it and tell somebody about it. All right, anybody else? Anybody got questions? All right, looking like we're out of questions. I'll stay on the line here if anybody wants to hang out, but if not, we're done for the day. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and I will talk with you next month. Bye-bye.